Hey, it's your favorite remote work enthusiast, Delilah. On today's Q&A Tuesday, I'm addressing two really popular resume questions. The first question I'm addressing is, what happens if you have a gap or multiple gaps on your resume? And then the second question I'm addressing is, what happens if you've been a job hopper? You've had several different jobs in the last couple of years, and you want to make sure that online employers know that you can commit and that doesn't get in your way of getting hired. So I'm going to address both of those questions on today's Q&A Tuesday. But before I get into any of that info, if you haven't already, now is the time to go ahead and hit the subscribe button and make sure you tap the notification bell so you can stay up to date on the latest work from home opportunities. I post weekly work from home hot leads for companies that are hiring, as well as work from home info that I know you're gonna love. So make sure you hit subscribe and tap that notification bell. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. So the first part of this Q&A Tuesday that I'm going to address is what happens if you have work gaps on your resume. Maybe there was a period of time for months or even years that you did not work. What does that mean for you? Well, I'll go ahead and let you know that it's not the worst thing ever. It's actually very common. For many reasons, people have history or gaps in their work history that they did not work. Life happens. You could have had a child. Maybe you had to take off work to take care of an elderly relative. Maybe you had something personally going on with you, maybe anxiety issues, depression. I don't know. There's a lot of different things that can happen in life that would prevent you from being able to work. What's really important is whenever you are asked about that gap in your work history, you give it what I like to call a positive spin. Let's say, for example, you had to take off work because you needed to do some personal development, whatever that might mean. Well, you don't want to just tell, the interviewer or, if you're doing this in your cover letter, I took off time because I needed to find myself. That doesn't really give it a positive spin. Whatever your reason was for taking the time off, you always want to try and bring it back around to how you, during that time, kept developing your skill set so that you can do the job at hand really well. So you want to talk about how, you weren't idle during that time. You were honing those job skills that are relevant to the job you're interviewing for or applying to. And you want to talk about how what you learned and developed during that time can really benefit the company. That's what I mean by giving it a positive spin. You just want to try and make it to where that employer knows that you weren't just floating in the wind during that time. You were actually taking time out to improve so that you could be better for your next opportunity. And again, like I said, gaps on your resume are very common. People don't work the entire time they can. There's always things coming up. It's not a big deal. What's important is how you express that. So the places where it would come up for you to explain that would be on your cover letter if appropriate, and definitely in an interview if asked about it. And you definitely want to take some time to think about what is that positive spin that you can give it. And of course you want to be truthful, but you want to try and make it as positive, as professional as possible. Just steer clear from, oh, I just needed to get myself together, or something that doesn't really benefit the company. Whatever you do say, try and make it to where it sounds like the company's going to be better off for you having had that gap. The next question that I'm going to answer is, how do you explain job hopping on your resume? Now, just to give you all a little backstory, a little quick story here, I actually used to be very concerned about this. Back when I first graduated from college, I thought that I was going to be working at a company long term. I really thought I had landed my dream job. I thought it was going to be a long-term type opportunity for me. And as much as I interviewed, as best as I asked questions and researched the company, It still didn't give me a full perspective of what it was going to be like. And the only way that I actually would know what it was going to be like is to actually do it, which when I did, after about a few months, I realized that, hey, this isn't something that I can grow with. And I was really concerned because I was going to be leaving this opportunity pretty much 1 year to the date that I had done it. And I was hanging in to get to that 1 year. My concern was what would happen if the next company I go to sees on my resume I was only there for 1 year. And I can only imagine for folks who have multiple 6 months, 1 year type experiences on their resume each time, it just gets even more concerning. I will tell you now, in the position that I'm in now, where I am the one doing hiring personally, being that I take a perspective of this is the real world, these are people at the end of the day, no one has a perfect spotless work history, it doesn't necessarily matter to me. Now, there are hiring professionals who it really does matter. They see it as a loyalty issue. They see themselves being the next person who gets their resources sucked up and you move on from. And to them, it might be a bad thing. It might be a red flag. But I always like to take into consideration, what is this person's background? What was their education in? And what opportunities did they jump from? Were they similar? Were they different? Were they all over the place? And I really take a holistic perspective as to what could be behind that. And if it doesn't seem like a really bad red flag, that person can still get an interview. But for other hiring managers, that person might just not make it to that next round. The key is, where appropriate, such as your cover letter or in an interview, if given the opportunity, make sure that you do just like in the first question that I addressed, give it a very positive spin. And that really is your time to explain why you went from one opportunity to another. Also, I keep in mind that we're in a very much a gig economy where people are doing opportunities that don't pay them that well, don't offer benefits, or they might like a certain aspect of the opportunity, but because things just aren't really benefiting the employee in a lot of ways, they wanted to move on to greener pastures. So I also understand that as well. And that is a reason why a lot of people do hop from job to job to job. Now, for other people, they actually use it as a strategy to get to where they want to be much faster. Some people do job hopping to expand their network and to also get to better paying opportunities much faster than if they were to stay with the company. So you go to one job, you get a skill set, you're now eligible to apply for a better paying opportunity, you get hired there, and you repeat that cycle. It can work in people's advantage, and it can also hurt them because, like I said, there's two different perspectives. There's the hiring manager like myself who would understand, and then there's also the hiring manager who says, you're not loyal, I'm just another, experience on your resume, I don't want you. If you do get the opportunity, just make sure that you spin, whatever reason it is into a really positive way that benefits your prospective employer. So whatever the reason may be for why you left, you always want to bring it back to, this is how that is going to help you. So, the key is just make sure if it comes up or if it's appropriate for you to explain it, and that would be like on your cover letter, that you are always bringing it back to how it'll benefit your prospective company. So there you have it. That is the answer to not one, but two Q&A Tuesday videos pertaining to resumes. The key is make sure that whatever explanation you give, you give it a positive spin and make it a benefit for the company for you having had that experience, whether it was a gap in your resume or multiple positions in a short period of time. So now I want to hear from you all in the comment section below. Do you have gaps in your resume? Have you hopped from job to job? What has your experience been with getting a new opportunity, having those things on your resume? And like I said, they're very common. You're not the only one, and hopefully we'll have some brave folks in the comments express that. And maybe it's been positive, maybe it hasn't been, but let's get the discussion going below. I want to hear from you all. Don't be shy. I like to read your comments and I respond back. And if you want your question featured on the next Q&A Tuesday video, then the link to submit your question is in the description box below. And if you submit it, you may get your question answered on the next Q&A Tuesday. So hopefully this was helpful. Let me know by liking this video and sharing it. I will talk to you all soon. Bye.